Morning, everybody. We'll get started in just a few moments, but a couple prop things. And if you don't have the props, I'll try to show some modifications. But two chairs of equal size and merit would be nice because we can do some fun things. I've got two antique chairs which are not long for the world because they've suffered under the abuse of me employing them for yoga props. You could use, the classic is a couple of folding metal chairs, sturdy ones for sure. If you don't have two chairs, but you have one, that will suffice. And if you have nothing at all, it's okay. You can do the standard yoga platform, but of more essence would be to have a wall at the back of your mat. So you're going to be doing a lot of textural stuff with the hands and the feet against the wall, against the chairs, and it should be fun and also enlightening in terms of learning yoga poses or going back to standard yoga poses with a slightly different take. So grab your chairs, grab your roll towels if you have them, and we're going to get started in just a couple of minutes. But if you're here early, you can see the preview of the standing poses will be, and one of the principles is to push out to go in. So on Wednesday, we'll go expressing out for the sake of eccentric contraction. But today, because it's our standard core day, we're going to try to use the extensions or the pushing out into surfaces to trace back into the roots in the core. So even a simple thing like a warrior is going to look more like this. Warrior one, we're going to be pushing against the wall, we're going to be pushing against the mat, all with the purpose of trying to find the locus or the midpoint of the body. And likewise, something like Isthmus plank, which a lot of people can't do well because of their shoulders on a couple of chairs, this becomes a doable proposition, or a downward dog, without ruining your shoulders, and also looking at your belly and being able to feel more readily the core without getting caught up in the shoulder capsules and whether or not they're injured or strong. So although sometimes if you're diehard, you think that doing modifications or using props is a cop-out or the easy way. In fact, I found it allows for oftentimes greater awareness in the middle of the body. And as we roll up our towels to begin to get sorted, I will say that no matter how strong you are in your core and what you think the roots of your body are, it's never as strong as you might think, at least in my experience. And so often when we're younger, we're caught up in strengthening the arms and the legs and using them for mobilization. So that's what's on the agenda, and we'll get into our Sukhasana easy seat. Most of the first part of the practice, because it is Monday, and a lot of people are returning from their vacations or staycations, as they say. We're going to start easy with some rolling out. So let's sit with an easy cross-legged or folded leg orientation and just pitch back and forth a little bit on the sit bones to feel the front part of the sit bones, and then as you roll back, the back. You can do this closing your eyes or softly open, and as you make yourself into a rocking horse, or a rocking chair, as the case may be. Right away, we're taking our minds down into the roots of the spine, the roots of the hips, and just seeing if you were to allow your body to find its plumb line, where is that for you? And then as I relax a little bit on the plumb line, I can not only feel where on the sit bones I'm proposing is good for me, for the arch of my back, not too much arch around for my particular body, but also whether I'm sitting more heavily on the right or the left sit bone. So now let's just pitch over to the left and the right, again making ourselves into children or child's twice, and of course, even just try to lift off one sit bone is a core exercise. In the obliques, a little bit in the psoas, and you don't have to rock and roll too much, especially if you are not a big rock and roll fan, but more of a jazz aficionado. And if you're new, the jokes definitely don't get any better. So let's now find our seat again and see if that side-to-side motion has brought any awareness to tensions or weaknesses on the sides. Typically, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. So the right side's all the more willing to grip and hold the pose, whatever it is, and the left side is ready to check out and have a vacation. So without struggling to redeem yourself or even it out, just be aware of that and take a couple breaths to maybe not disentangle entirely, which is a lifelong proposition, but to move towards symmetry, to at least propose to the body, hey, can we be symmetrical here? Let's take a little rotation over to the right, putting the left fingers on that opposite knee and lift the chest, spread the collarbones, inhale, spread the shoulder blades, and then exhale, find the sit bones. And take a few breaths here, feeling the pressure down in the sit bones. So maybe you have to draw a little tightness between the belly button and the tailbone, as if we were doing some sort of odd core work. And then the rotation of the upper body becomes more tenable or safe. Let's go to the other side, easy warm up. Again, don't get caught up in pulling with your arms, especially if you're strong. The rowers in the group might easily torque the spine, but instead drop your mind, drop your breath down into your core. As if I were going to have you do something weird like pick up your legs like this and then rotate. Go to the other side. So again, if I were advanced, or if you want to try this, they start to rotate, take the back fingers down and lift the feet off the ground across legs, engage the core. Stay here for 20 minutes, or Jorgen's going to do a couple of Pilates moves. But then having engaged that, or tightened that front line from the belly button to the tailbone, now see the freedom of the shoulders and the mid-back twist. The more inhale, exhale, come through center. Again, I can lift, step back, lift up, rotate. Set the legs down. You don't have to do this. And then I've anchored the coils of my lower body, and so the upper body can now rotate. Very good. And now let's take our towel rolls, and we're going to take them to mid-mat, and we can take our feet toward the wall. And all we're going to do is roll out the dorsal fascia. So if you haven't done this one before, you're in for a treat, but take a peek first. We're going to move the towel roll essentially from the upper back to the lower back as we migrate and roll or move ourselves toward the front of the mat. But it all starts in bridge pose, laying on the shoulder blades and taking the hands behind the head for a moment and just clasping the head and hovering with the hammock of the hands on the back of the skull. Relax your jaw, tone that essential core between the belly and the tailbone. So find about the mid shoulder blade and hover here for a second, let the elbows sweep apart. And then you can slowly place the head down. So if you've chosen too thick of a towel roll, then you can modify that. So let's walk the feet under the knees here. And at first, inhale, drag your hips forward, lift your chest, and exhale, roll and flatten the tailbone and the low back. Inhale, pitch the hips forward, arch, and exhale, curl. The arms are straight out to the sides, and we're using the dowel of the towel roll to just massage this part of the back. Using this pelvic tilt, make sure the head's comfortable and can slide easy and not get compressed. Again, if it's too much, got too big a towel roll, reduce, reduce, reduce. And then let's see if we can just gently tuck the chin, lift the hips up 2 or 3 inches, toning that core, the space between the belly and the tailbone. So we're not lifting up to full bridge, we're just going up a little bit. We're feeling the pressure of the towel roll. Relax the cords of the neck. Again, the chin is slightly tucked, and then come down with the hips, exhale. And drop the knee slightly to the left as you look right. Inhale to center with the knees, and then the knees drop right as you let the head roll left. Do it a few times on your own, and we're not trying to achieve any sort of shape that is photographable. We're just keeping, maybe with eyes closed now, the towel roll, massaging the back. And then let's see if we can reach the left arm up to the sky now and exhale, drag it back. And then reach the right arm up to the sky and then drag it back. Both hands are going back to the floor beyond you. And then as you bend your elbows to goalposts, just sneak or drag or slide your body an inch forward toward your head. Walk the feet correspondingly back toward you since you slid, and then let the arms go straight out from the body again. And you know the drill. So inhale, arch, lifting the low back, and exhale, curl the tailbone. And just start to massage and feel this towel roll pressing into the space underneath the shoulder blades. Just giving yourself a back rub. There used to be these chairs at a store called the Sharper Image, and they would sit in them, and this device would roll this big metal roller down your back. And that's all we're doing. Now we're gonna exhale, tuck the tailbone, lift the hips up an inch or two toward bridge, but not pushing the hips up too high. And breathe pressure into this part of the back. Exhale, come down and drop the knees to the left, head to the right. Now you should feel the towel roll getting some pressure on those left back ribs. Inhale to center, knees go right, head goes left, and you get a little massage on the right ribs.
And back to center. Reach up to the sky, left arm, inhale. Exhale, backstroke behind you. Right arm up to the sky, inhale. Backstroke behind you. Lengthen your chest up toward your tucked chin. Reach your arms all the way out of the shoulder capsules and the shoulder blades, lifting up the back. And then almost like a breaststroke, you know how you use your arms in a breaststroke, peel the elbows to a bent position along the sides of the body. Slide yourself forward another inch. Arms out, straight from the shoulders. And then inhale, arch and curl in the sacral tilts of the hips. Once again, just feeling the towel roll, moving space between the vertebrae. And then lifting the hips up for a few breaths, toning the core, breathing steadily into the field of sensation. So I promised this would be a roots practice, and it's, in a way, the roots, the ground of the body is the groundedness of the body-mind is the body itself. And we're really working into this back body as our primary ground, the primary soil of awareness. Then we come down and drop the knees left, head right. Doesn't have to be a lot of rotation. And then switch and just feel the massage. Same thing again, left arm up and over, right arm up and over, reach, slide the body a little bit further over that towel roll, and then almost like the breaststroke, peel the elbows toward a goalpost position. Now you should be down at the lowest ribs before there are no ribs anymore, the floating ribs, and you're going to inhale and exhale, arch and curl. And then when you curl, the hips lift up, engaging your core, feeling pressure on the low ribs, posterior serratus, drop, and then drop the knees to the left and the head to the right. Inhale to center and then drop the other way, pulling out those ribs. Now from here, let's bring the arms down toward the hips. And take a big inhale to roll the shoulders back, lift the hips up to normal bridge. Let's see if you can take your hands to your towel roll and slide it forward at the sacrum. Place the sacrum just below the low back on the towel roll, and bring the knees and hug them into the body. Now we're going to take and you may have to shift your distance from the wall a little bit away. I'm going to take the left knee into both hands and push that right leg into the wall. So if your hip flexors are really tight, you might have your foot a little higher up the wall. If not, you can go right down to the baseboard. We're holding that left knee. And let's push the knee into the hands to let the SI joints even out. So creating a little core work here. Now can we straighten that left leg to the sky and bind our hands in the back of the hamstring? Just below the knee, crease, and push into our bind. Think of leveling out the hips with a slight inward rotation of that left leg. And then release as you bend that left knee. Pull both knees in now. Right knee joins the left. And switch. We'll hold the right knee and push into the wall, high or low, depending on your hip flexors. We're pushing into the wall with the left heel and holding the right knee. Instead of trying to draw it toward us, we're going to move it away from us. And I promise that pushing out takes us inward. And those people that are competitive or athletes or what have you, You know that sometimes pushing against something else or another person or thing can strengthen you and bring some internal awareness as we straighten the right leg up to the sky and bind our hands in the back of the hamstring, push into our bind. Again, getting a little pushy, so to speak, against some point of contact will bring immediate awareness back into your body. Is it always a good thing? Not necessarily. If you're too pushy, you might break yourself. So find the right amount of connection and attenuation, and then release and pull the knees in to the body. Let's let the feet drop down and bridge pose again with the palms spinning to the sky, the shoulders rolling back. And then exhale, lift the hips. And take one hand and take the towel roll out from where it was. And let's take the towel roll now and place it on the belly and pull the knees in, squish that towel roll into the roots of the spine. So Uddiyana Bandha and the transverse abdominals now. And then can you release the knees away from you like we did with moments ago at both knees. Flatten the low back and be holding your outer knees and pushing the knees into the hands to find that core attenuation. Can you keep the shins hovering? And take the arms out to the sides. And then goalpost the arms and take the hands under the head. And as you inhale, roll the back of the head into the floor, like you're going to look behind you as you exhale. Think of picking the head up, just looking toward your knees. Inhale, roll down, and exhale, come up. And so as you come up, I want you to think of or feel that towel roll still being a little captivated or captured in the transverse abdominals. Extra credit would be to take the head down, float the shins away from you a little, exhale, pull the knees in, lift the head. We're working from this premise of the towel roll, encouraging and inducing this core transverse abdominal awareness. Let's set that down for a moment. You can remove the towel roll from your belly now and take it up in your hands like a trapeze bar. We've done this in the past. And inhale the towel roll back to the floor. And as you exhale, bring it back to the sky. As you start to move into this pattern, can you let the pelvic tilts we did earlier integrate into the motion? So as the arms go back, the low back lifts. Hips are dragged forward. As you exhale, the towel roll comes to the sky. You pull the hips back toward you and tighten the space between the belly button and the tailbone. So you can stay with this, or you can kick the legs up to the sky as the towel roll comes in, and the shins, set the feet down, towel roll back, exhale, towel roll to sky, shins hover, or maybe straighten the legs, rebend, set the feet down, inhale, towel roll back, lengthen, arch the low back, reach the shoulder blades at the back, exhale, pull the hips toward you, towel roll up, shins hover, maybe legs straighten. And you're off and running. And then we come down and straighten both legs, and you can push the feet into the wall now, so adjust your body and feel both feet. So these are your roots of your feet. Now we're connecting to the roots in the core And so that the feet, as they squish into the wall, so you can push one foot and the other, can you feel the translation up into the belly that we had the towel roll in? You can even take your hands now to your low belly as you squish one foot and the other foot to feel this connection up the leg into the core. Okay, so let's grab our towel roll and once again, take it up to the sky. Inhale, reach it back. Exhale, drag the left knee up toward you, like you're gonna tap shin to towel roll. Other side. Inhale, both feet into the wall. Push, 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 toning the muscles of the legs. Exhale, the right knee comes up and the towel roll comes toward. Now you're off and running and just doing a little bit of core work. You can add, if you're more experienced, the reaching of the head up, tucking your chin. You can add a slight rotation outside the leg when you come up. And it's also possible to slide the towel under the head if you have a neck issue and cradle the neck in the back of the occiput as you goalpost your arms. And as you inhale, push into the wall. As you exhale, you just gently support the head and lift one knee just a little bit. And then you come down and then you just have a little hammock for your head. So everyone should try this regardless of the shape or condition of your neck, because this will provide a little neck release now as we lay down and take the arms out to the side. And we'll pull the feet under the knees. Inhale and exhale, just drop the head gently to the right. Inhale to center and just drop head gently to the left. And all you're doing is massaging these fine muscles underneath the bony ridges in the back of the skull. If you wanted to have extra credit, you hold the towel roll ends as you did before. Inhale, go easy. As I exhale, I'm going to lift the right side of the towel roll up to help roll the head gently to the left. I'm going to drop down, inhale, and I pull just gently up with the left side of the towel roll. And if I were doing neck exercises, I would, after I lifted one end of the towel roll up and let the head nod, I would then push the back of my skull gently to come back to the ground. So go super easy. This is the way that you can work with the muscles in the back of the neck, opening them on the rotation and then strengthening the back. Very good. And then if you take your arms out to the side and just pelvic tilt back and forth, you get a little bit of neck traction. As the hips move away and the low back arches, the back of the skull, those bony ridges are just pulled long. And then exhale to release. You open the jaw and release the masseter muscle in the mouth. So if you have a neck injury, you know that a few people have, and I have, these massages of the back of the neck are a nice final complement to all the work we did opening the back ribs. But sometimes you got to move in a very slow and microcosmic or very, very fine and restricted way. Okay, so let's lift our hips, shoot them over to the left, and stack our knees over to the right now, left over right. Roll our whole body over to the right side with the towel roll under the side of the head for support. Then we're going to lift the left arm up to the sky and exhale, roll into a twist. And let's, because it's morning body, let's go back and forth. Arms parallel, inhale and exhale, open twist. And we're still rolling out the back of the skull. And I can circularize this a little bit, playing air guitar with my upper or my left arm if I want, in big sweeping motions, and keeping a little softness in the elbow and the shoulder joint. And then we'll open the arms, take the knees to center, shift the hips to the right, and stack our knees over to the left. Bring our right arm up and over so our whole body is over to the right. Inhale and then exhale, start to open. Doesn't have to be all the way to the ground. Inhale, come back to core awareness. Keeping a little tightness between the belly button and the tailbone. And the exhale, you see where you're at this morning. And then you can make some rotations with that right arm and soften the shoulder, soften the elbow. Let the shoulder roll with the neck and the head. Go easy. You're working with injury. Okay, and then let's come back to center and go back to side one, shift the hips to the left, roll the head right. And take a peek now. I'm going to take my arms, hands to opposite elbows like a Russian dancer. And we work the upper shoulder capsule now as we exhale, push the left elbow toward the ground, the forehead down toward the ground. Inhale, roll into the back of the skull. Exhale, push that left elbow down and let the head roll. And you can again make little circular motions with, or figure eights with your upper elbow. And you're just massaging the ball and socket joint on the right shoulder. Then you may find as you open your twist this time, you've made some progress. You can hook your right fingers on the top of the left knee crease. Advanced students could always grab the straightened legs, the big toes, or use the strap, your right arm, and have a full straightened leg twist. Then we'll rebend and move to center and shift the hips right, roll left, and bring the arms together like a Russian dancer, holding the inner elbows. Inhale, and then nod the head toward the towel roll. It's really nice to have a towel roll. And drop the right elbow down. Inhale, rolling onto the, or toward the back. Exhale, rolling toward the chest. What you're doing is moving the ball and socket joint on that left shoulder capsule, which may yield a more open twist in the shoulders now as you open the right arm out and left hand to the right knee. Okay, let's come back to center and extend the legs long. And just see if you can point and flex the feet. So if you're a little close to the wall, you can be away from it, but most people have probably drifted away from the wall. Pull the toes back toward you, inhale, press away. As you move the feet, can you feel how the whole spine is stretched and then retracted? One more. And we'll pull the feet under the knees, arms out to the side. Inhale. Exhale, drop the knees to the left. This time reach the right arm up to the sky. You can grab that right wrist and pull that right arm over to the left, letting yourself roll as we just did over to the side. So grab with my left hand, my right wrist, I'm pulling it on a diagonal overhead, stretching that right shoulder capsule. Come back to center, inhale, drop the knees, with widespread feet to the right. Reach the left arm up and over and grab that left wrist with the right hand. Gently draw the entire arm to about 10 o'clock. You can work both sides again. And some of you, more advanced people, can combine all the movements we've done now when you're drawing the left arm over, for example. I can release the left hand down. I can start to push the left hand into the ground and come up to easy cobra arms in a full rotation of the rib cage now, having opened the ribs. If you're not ready for this, don't do it. But if you get here and your forearms are parallel, you push the forearms forward, look toward the elbows, and roll and lengthen the mid-back in a C shape. Then you thread the needle with the right arm, roll onto your back. Knees come to center and then to the left. Right arm comes up, grab the wrist, pull over to the left. Maybe place the right hand down and bring yourself, your torso. So it's facing, chest facing the ground. And you push your dolphin or cobra arms forward, drop your head, spread your shoulder blades. Okay, so let's come up to hands and knees now. And sit in child's pose for just a sec. And see how things are doing. So now we've worked the back body, which I'm going to call the fertile ground or the roots of the body. And now as we face a more common direction, can you feel the effervescence or the stimulation of all the fascia on the back body? Come to hands and knees and see if you can be near enough a wall that if you were to extend your right leg back, that you could have the right leg heel all the way into the wall. So just check out that distance. Then we're just going to do some easy cat and cow motions. Now that we've warmed up the shoulder capsules, can you feel how the shoulder blades draw a little closer together as you inhale, look forward, and then protract out as you drop the head round. Again, it's good to get pushy, spreading your fingers, but you're pushing with your shins as well as your hands. And as you round the spine, you're of course using your core and attenuating the belly button to tailbone, deep core muscles, so that some of you, if you wanted extra credit, can lift the knees and hover an inch, either with the feet kicked out or the toes tucked under now. So a lot of this work today is core work and strength work, setting the shoulder blades broadly as I look down, and then letting the knees hover an inch as I pull the belly button up into the spine. Setting it down, release, inhale forward. Tuck toes under or keep them out and just pull up. And then sit back down to Virasana. So why so much attention to the core? Because now, as we move into asymmetry, without a towel roll under a low back, we've got to have the symmetry provided right in here. So this simple work, which is not so simple for some, being able to hover like that, engages your core now as we take the right leg back to the wall. Not too high, you should be able to drop your head and find those right toes in your field of vision. And just push the heel into the wall, roll the right hip down. Simple. And spread the shoulder blades, bring the breath into the chest, all the back ribs that have been actualize through the work we did earlier. So flare them out. Then switch, right knee down, left leg goes back, push the heel in, take a peek. Simple connection exercise, really trying to get to the core through the extension of the legs. One more, right leg. And then folks that have the ability could push into the wall, as I did earlier, hands and knees. Spread the shoulder blades and just pick up the left knee. Set it down. Switch. This is for the advanced folks. Left heel onto the wall. Push down, shoulder blades apart. Look down. And just pull the core in to lift the right knee. Let's go back to child's pose. Even it out. Let the arms go forward. Then walk the hands back toward you. Walk the knees back. And walk yourself back so that you're pretty close to the wall. Spread the fingers. Roll the collarbones apart. And then downward dog with the heels up the wall. So look back at your toes, bend your knees. And have a high heel down dog. And look toward your hands with your knees bent. And then straighten your legs, let your head bisect your arms. Really lengthen those backwards forward, the roots of the fingers, in the tailbone to the roots of the toes. Forward to plank and then come down to hands and knees. Child's pose, 5 breaths while I grab my water. And then we'll play with our chairs. So come on up from your child's pose, and now we're gonna, you came in late, we're gonna be working with a wall, and if you have a couple chairs, or at least one, I'm gonna configure them like so. Now if I had only a single chair, then I could have it facing me so that my wall dog's gonna look more like this. Then when I go into my warriors, I'll have a single chair that I'm going to be working with. The problem with, or the challenge of the single chair is that you're going to have to move it around a lot. So if you've got this double chair arrangement with your wall, it's ideal. So we just did some really basic stuff on our hands and knees. And you may have realized or remembered, oh gee, I have a shoulder injury, maybe some sort of a neck or trap injury. Even plank or even down dog doesn't feel so great anymore. Even if it does feel fine, revisiting things from a different perspective may yield some awareness. So let's face the wall first. And what we're going to do is step our right foot back and take our hands to the wall and take a warrior one stance. The back foot's toes are turned out a little bit. And then we're going to take our hands pretty broad, broader than shoulders, and come into a warrior one lunge. Now, if I were working with somebody who had a hip injury, I might even take one of the chairs, for example, and sit on the chair like that and have them work here. So just a fun thing to keep in mind. Or if you've got that sort of an injury. But we're pushing into the wall, spreading our
collarbones getting weight into the back foot. And then can we bring the arms up into warrior one? So now we've found the attenuation of the back foot and the attenuation of the arms, and now we've got the warrior one. We'll push into the wall again. We can lift the back heel up, bend the knee, and just hop the feet together, facing the wall, and step the left foot back. And find as big a lunge as your body can sustain. So the heel is slightly inward, the fingers are spread, and you don't have to push your wall down. You just want to fill the chest cavity with breath, the back ribs, and then find the weight in the back foot. So you're getting a stretch to the calf. And if I'm working with a hip injury, I just sit right down on that left hip. And then once I've established weight in the back foot, warrior one. Hands to the wall, lift the back heel, step the feet together, and release. So let's try the walk away from the wall a little bit. And let's try the first side again and step the right foot back. Push, maybe a little lower. And now can we transfer the hands to the chair, the tops of the chair. So again, if you didn't have the chair, you could still work with just the wall. And what we're going to do is lift the back heel and start to drop the right knee down. And then lift up. So now we're going to do our lunges and just strengthen our arms and stretch our back leg. Dip, using some arm strength, some leg strength. Come up. Now you're going to start to straighten both legs, sitting up for triangle pose. And we'll have the hands on the chair with the legs straightened. And we can take the hands to the wall and push into the wall, letting the weight go into the back heel. And you can even lift the left toes off the ground to stretch the calf muscle. Again, how wide are your feet? Up to you. But you should be able to feel the pressure in the back heel, the lengthening and stretching of the front hamstring, the left leg. Now can we take the hands to the chair if you have them? And then start to take our triangle pose without any stress in the shoulders. So I'm going to just keep my left hand on the chair, keep plugged into the back hip and heel and open. Naturally, if you wanted to bend the lower elbow and put the forearm down to juice the pose, you could. But what happens in that hip? Is it getting crushed? So working high sometimes is the smarter way to go. Those that want the full pose can go down to the shin. But again, the attenuation of finding the roots in the legs through this use of the chair is important. Come back to the hands on the chair or to the wall and lift the back heel, and let's set the back knee entirely down, the right knee. Now we're going to take the right hand to the wall, a little higher than the shoulder. Just start to push and rotate our chest to the left. And if you don't have chairs, you could be working both hands into the wall. If you need to pad the back knee, you can double up your mat. We're just going to rotate the chest to the left. And as I said earlier in class with our first rotation, don't get too pushy. Push down to go up. So we're pushing into the back shin, pushing into the wall, and then letting the chips fall. Let's come back to center and take our hands to the chair. So there's a couple options here. But as we curl the right toes under and start to lift ourselves up with our arms, one option for those that are sturdy enough, instead of stepping the feet together forward, is to come back to a chair dog. So the hands are on the chairs and you're creating a right angle with your body, attenuating your straight legs, and letting the head come within the arms. Then you could come forward to the plank I mentioned earlier with the hands on the chairs. Look at your toes, heels are lifted, tone your core. So pull the belly button toward the tailbone. Spread the shoulder blades apart. Then we'll walk the feet forward, dip into chair pose with the knees. And again, it's nice to have these chair supports with the hands because I can kind of feel, and those people that were skiers in the past life know that ski poles are interesting extensions of the arms. Let's reach the arms up and then stand. Okay, so hands to wall. Front foot about a foot from the wall, right foot. Left foot goes back. We find that warrior one stance and drop and push. Getting weight in the front foot. Now we can start to straighten the front leg. And don't go too wide with the feet if it's got a low back issue. And then you can take your hands to the chair once you've established weight in the back heel. If you only had one chair, the chair would be the outside of the right leg. And you could have your left hand to the wall like that. So we're setting up triangle pose. And now we start to rotate over to the left. And the left arm comes up. Express the feet down into the floor. So push down and spread the feet apart to open the sails of the pose. If you want to go further down with the right forearm, fine. But what happened to the roots? What happened to the legs? Did they collapse? And then your hips are in jeopardy of getting crushed. Over time, these deep yoga poses, even a simple innocent pose like triangle pose, without the roots of the legs pushing, 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 are going to be a killer. Let's bring the hands down to the chairs or the wall if you don't have the chairs. Lift the back heel, set that left knee down, and we'll rotate over to the right. You can take the left hand up the wall like that, push through the back shin, and as we push into our surface points of connection, back shin, front arm, then the rotation is a little more intelligent, rather than me trying to wrestle my upper body around and rip out the roots in the lower half of the body. Okay, so let's come back to either the wall or the chair if you have it. Curl the back toes under, and you've got your wall dog with the hands on the chair. And you can try a plank pose with the broad shoulder blades, attenuating the core. And then you can step your feet together, bend your knees, chair pose, sink down, let the arms raised, and then standing. So come to standing for a second and just close your eyes and feel how things are going. Good. So one of the premises, other than pushing out to go in, is pushing down to go up. So now we'll do another simple yoga pose, Vrksasana or tree pose. And the premise of all the standing poses, really, I would say, is push into the roots first, or anchor the roots, and then you can come up into the tree of the body. And if the roots aren't established, or there's problems in the feet, in the nerves of the feet, which tend to go as you age, then the whole rest of the structure can go. So I'm going to offer some ways to work with this. If you have a normal tree pose, you can bring your right foot up your left leg and find the ground. Find the sit bone to the heel. And then find the big toe mound to the left gut. And simply go into the pose by pushing down into the heel to launch the arms up. But if you want to experiment with a chair, you can do this pose with your right foot up the chair, and you can even take your left hand up the wall, like so, for support. So I've got my right knee pointing out as much as my hips allow, and if I take my right hand across my belly to grab the outside of my left hip and gently pull it across toward the chair. And then let the hip resist a little bit in the opposite direction. So the hand wants to pull the hip to the midline, the hip wants to push out, and the arm is comfortably up the wall. So all I'm doing is establishing strength through the left lateral body. And that's my tree pose. I could bring this left arm up to the wall. Or away from the wall, or push into the wall. Again, pushing down through the standing heel and feeling the foot and hip connection. And let's release. So let's try the other side. Again, I've done tree. I've never had a problem doing tree. And so the temptation to just do the pose without awareness is there. You can go right into it, but otherwise trying this, it's called the geriatric version of tree. And, or we could call it the intelligent way. We take our left foot off the chair, we get the hip open, and we take the right hand slightly behind the shoulder. So we're multitasking, opening up the pec minor, and then we check out the geometry. So you're really plugged into that right heel, and what's going on in the hip? Is it sagging toward the wall? So if we take our left hand across the belly and just get a hold, could be grabbing your pants, yoga pants from Lululemon or maybe Target, and pulling that right hip across to the left. And then let the hip resist, and then let this controversy travel down into the roots of the heel. And then lift up, 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 up. From the pushing down, the right hand could come up. And release. So that's endless. But once you have those attenuations, they're important because if I go back into tree pose again, and I feel whether the foot and the hip are communicating and whether I have the core wrapped in, right in here, and then the down pressure through the heel. And that's really hip work, or hip strength. Let's do something a little bit racier, if you don't mind, before we close.
And it's one of my favorites, but be careful. We'll go into a little bit of a deeper lunge, moving toward back bending. I'm going to take our chair away from the wall, and much like we did earlier, facing the wall, we're going to take our right shin and place it on the chair. Hopefully it's padded. You can take a towel to it. And then we're going to go left toes into the wall. So we're going to do essentially a low lunge, which we did do earlier, but now we've got this chair here. And then we're going to take our hands to the wall with the elbows slightly bent and dragging down to lift the chest. Now I want you, if you're going to fall over, don't do this. But if you take your right hand to your right hip and just roll it forward, so the hips square off, and tone your core enough as you look down that you're not overarching the low back. Okay, so now you're starting to get some good pressure down to the back shin. And you're going to crawl your right hand up the wall like we did earlier and start to rotate. But now you're really pushing into that back shin. Lift the chest, inhale, and exhale, push the back shin. Gently square off, and to come out, you can either roll back to the chair and walk yourself out by dragging your left foot into the chair or whatever way works for you. So now the right foot's into the wall, the left shin is in the chair, and we're going to face the wall. And it's almost like I was a cat climbing the wall, and I drag my hands down. I lift my chest, so I'm getting some back bending now here from the mid-back. But the hips, particularly that left hip, want to root down as I push into the back shin. So get that established. And then you can start to reach up the wall with the left hand and rotate as we did forward to the right. But push down into the chair, lift the chest, and breathe into those connecting points. So if you can, several breaths here will yield success. Square off. Either move your right foot toward the chair or rotate to the left or both. Just take a moment to stand and you should feel a little bit of effervescence. A little chest, easy chest lift, stretching of the hip flexors. So those are some basic poses that can lead to advanced work. Let's have a seat. Nothing too extravagant this morning. And we'll go into our forward fold before we close, stretching the legs long, taking either a strap or taking the hands to the big toes or tops of feet, and forward folding. Inhale, come up, and exhale, slide your hips forward, lay down. Take Shavasana, or any last postures that might feel good. You can always roll back, as we do Hillary's favorite, to the wall dog, or the wall plow, with the feet coming over to the wall. Otherwise, a few restful breaths, checking in with the body on Monday. Feeling sensations in the hands and the feet, and letting those awareness points in the extremities make a connection to the belly. So if you take the hands to the low belly for a moment and breathe into the core. Slide one foot and the other foot under the knee and roll to one side. Coming up to seated and a comfortable cross-legged position. So when you come back to cross-legged position of your choice, in a sense, the feet and the hands, and I'm showing full lotus, not that you should do it, but just that you see these poses, the folding of the outermost ranges of the body back to the roots, back to the core of the body. So everything comes back to center in the end. But working these feet and hands, which we did a little last week in a different way, bring you back to your roots. So hopefully that was helpful. Palms to heart and namaste.